What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another full self-driving video, and today you find me in a Model Y from the year 2020, almost 5 years ago, with Hardware 3. And so today we're doing a Hardware 3 video real quick. We are going to check out Hardware 3 and kind of talk about, a lot of Hardware 3 owners, that human almost messed up, a lot of Hardware 3 owners are concerned that they're being left behind, that Hardware 3 is being left behind. Wow, he just cut off the guy behind me too. What is going on with that guy? And they are also thinking that Hardware 3 is way worse than Hardware 4 in terms of performance. So this is version, I think it's 12.5.4.2. We can look at the software page here real quick. Yep, that's the version that Hardware 3 is on. My Cybertruck on Hardware 4 is 12.5.5.3, and our Hardware 4 Model Y is 12.5.6. Whatever. So there's a bunch of different versions here. And it's not an exact comparison, but this is the latest version you can get on Hardware 3, and I figured it'd be cool to do the same exact drive that I just did in the Cybertruck. So if you want to see how this exact drive compares between Hardware 3 and Hardware 4, you can watch my last video where I did this drive with the Cybertruck, and overall Cybertruck did great. I had a single intervention where I pressed the accelerator one time because it was going too slow, and that's all I did the whole drive. So we'll see if Hardware 3 can have the same level of accomplishment, or if it's going to be way worse or whatever. So I will tell you, in driving the Hardware 3 car so far, I've driven it a bit, I have noticed a few things that are different and that are worse. So number one, it is definitely a little jerkier in terms of its decision making and how it makes decisions. So especially on the highway, like it'll turn on the turn signal to change lanes, and it'll just like turn the turn signal on, and then immediately it's like darting over to the next lane. That's kind of weird. Another one that I've noticed several times now is driving on the highway, coming up to an exit, it'll turn the turn signal on for the exit nice and early, but then it like drives next to the exit for a minute, and then again just like darts over. So that's kind of weird. I've also had some weird steering wheel like jerks left and right. The other thing I'm noticing, of course, sorry about the noise, of course this car does not have the Ryzen processor, and these cameras, you probably can't tell, in the YouTube video, but wow, they are much worse quality than the cameras I'm used to in my Cybertruck now. And I don't remember them being quite this bad in my Hardware 3 Model Y that I used to drive. But yeah, whatever I'm looking at now looks pretty bad, and it's very pixelated. So just pretty interesting from all those aspects. So we'll talk about, is Hardware 3 really being left behind and all that. Of course, I'm in this loaner because my Cybertruck rear motor died. Really, it's like the inverter died, and they replaced the inverter. And do that. But it got me thinking, what if I did have some, expenses with my Cybertruck? Of course, this one's covered under warranty and is a recall. But a good way to save some money would be lowering my insurance costs, and that's where the sponsor of this portion of the video, Insurify, comes in. Huge thank you to them. If you don't know Insurify, you can use their website, absolutely free to shop different insurance companies. And we're speeding up here because, pretty interesting, the person behind us was getting pretty close. Remember, that's a wide-angle rear camera, so you can't tell. But FSD is adding some speed as this person's getting close behind us, so that's nice to see. But yeah, definitely should use the link down below to check out Insurify and shop around. Again, it's absolutely free and it's super fast, and you can potentially save really big on your insurance premiums by shopping around. I always encourage people to shop around, especially Cybertruck owners. We've seen a lot of the headlines. Some insurance places don't want to insure it. Maybe that's a little bit of clickbait or something. But I definitely could have used Insurify to shop around and get the best rates on my Cybertruck when I was doing that. So definitely check out the link below. Remember that insurance rates can vary, so you should probably check a couple of times to get the best deals, and then you can use that extra cash to save up in case we have any out of warranty issues. But hopefully that just doesn't end up being the case. So huge thank you to Insurify for sponsoring this portion of the video. So coming up to this right turn, we'll make our complete stop as we do in Hardware 4 as well. There's nobody to the left, and we move along pretty much perfectly. So far, like at least in this drive, in this video so far, the acceleration feels really good. Things feel really good, but I would imagine I've seen enough weirdness on my Hardware 3 drive so far that I imagine we'll find some in this video. And we're coming up to the portion where the Cybertruck got its one single intervention, so I'm gonna guess we're gonna get the same thing here. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about is Hardware 3 really being left behind? And it's, kind of a sticky subject. Okay, we have an alarm for I have no idea why. It is not 100%, in one direction or the other, and I know all the Hardware 3 people in the comments are going to be freaking out at me, like, yes, we are, this is awful, help. And I agree to an extent. The fact is, Hardware 3 is on an older version of FSD. than hardware 4. The fact is, hardware 3 has been getting less updates than hardware 4 recently. So does that mean hardware 3 is never going to meet the standards that Tesla has set forward for a FSD car? Maybe, maybe not. I've always been skeptical that we're really going to get in this vehicle, or even my hardware 4 Model Y, a car where I will legally or capably be able to just like hop. Oh, there's a nice brake here. So there you go. Nobody's behind me, obviously, so I'm letting that happen. Interesting. Cybertruck definitely did not brake there yesterday. It was probably because of that dirt in the road, and I'm assuming that wasn't there yesterday, but who knows. And we're getting some more braking here. Yeah, that's a lot worse than what I experienced in Cybertruck. But I've been skeptical, again, that even hardware 4 is going to get to that level. So from that perspective, I don't know if it'll be that different. But yes, it does seem overall hardware 3 is getting left behind. And, what is Tesla going to do about it? I don't know. They've offered the free FSD transfer. Like, okay, you paid for FSD. If you're not happy with it, you could get a new car. Of course, now you have to spend all this money to buy a new car. Most people don't want to do that. Yes, you're getting to transfer your FSD, which is great, but you never got the final promised product anyway. So of course you should be able to transfer it. That's like kind of a given. And I'm hoping that going forward, Tesla is just going to, another little break there. I'm hoping going forward, Tesla is just going to make that free transfer indefinite for hardware 3 owners. It kind of makes sense to me. It pushes them, those people into a new car. Tesla doesn't have to worry about the liability of retrofitting all these cars or whatever. I'm going to give us a tap here because we're going far too slow. And I'm curious. Sorry, I'm going all over the place here. Cybertruck, when I let off the accelerator here, would slow right back down. Let's see. Yeah, hardware 3 is doing the exact same thing. So a lot of the behavior does seem the same. But anyway, I do feel hardware 3, as of now, is being left behind slightly. The other side of that is this is, a 4-year-old car. You got 4 or 5, year old cars with hardware 3 that are pretty much, 95% of the capability of a hardware 4 car, which is really cool to get to see these updates. So yeah, okay. This left turn, we're going to check out here because this one in my hardware 3 Model Y was always very difficult. And this is where I'm more skeptical of hardware 3. The lower megapixel cameras won't be able to see quite as far. And on this road, you have cross traffic going 50, 60 miles an hour. Is the hardware 3 car going to be able to do that? Is it going to hesitate too much? Is it not going to, hesitate enough? We're about to find out here. So we're creeping up. Feels pretty similar to Cybertruck. There's nobody left or right. We move out. Okay. I mean, to be fair, there's no cars. I'm sorry. It's like Thanksgiving tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving. So there's probably not going to be a ton of traffic. But I got to say, that felt really good and far better than what my hardware 3 Model Y would do on older versions. So there are improvements here to hardware 3 software. Getting some more braking here, which is inappropriate. But so far, I would say hardware 3 does feel worse to me than hardware 4 performance, but it's not like, 50% worse. All right, so we're about to hop on the highway here. Little weirdness staying in the middle there, no big deal. And we'll see how it handles all of this. Of course, we have our full acceleration, unlike the Cybertruck that was very slow and could only go 65 miles per hour with the non-functioning rear motor. A little slow through that, but no biggie. As long as we get some big acceleration here to get onto the highway, that will be all good. And I do got to say, so since we're not on 12.5.6, these hardware 3 cars do still have a few things that are really nice. So number one, we have ultrasonic sensors. So you get the inches, when you're trying to park, the very specific, wow, this is weird. I would get around this. Measurements there. Okay, nice. So FSD is going to change lanes. Let's see here. So signal on, signal off, a little bit of wobbling in the steering wheel. It's because we have some people coming up, which is fine. So after this pickup truck, we should pass. We're just chilling. So I'll let it do its thing. So we do have a few things here that I do miss. I'm going to be totally honest. So you have your driving profiles, the chill, average, assertive, which didn't change that much. Here we go. Here's the lane change. It didn't change that much, these different settings in my testing. And the new driver profiles do change a lot. So I'd rather have the new driver profiles. But what I miss is the minimal lane changes. I don't usually need it, but there's some times where I want FSD to do its thing, but I don't want it passing everyone, doing all these complicated maneuvers. I just want to put it on. I just want to chill. I don't care if I have, the speed set at 75 and then the person in front of me is going 70. I don't care. I'll just chill there. So I would love to get the toggle back for minimal lane changes. I'm sure anyone from the autopilot team would be like, oh no, we're getting rid of all this. And it's kind of Tesla's thing. They think really far ahead, you know, to kind of get things done. But sometimes they think too far ahead and we're not quite there. The car isn't quite capable enough for me to always want it to do 100% of everything. Sometimes I just want to sit in the lane and chill. So I do miss minimal lane changes, and I was using it this morning. But yeah, other than that, we'll see how this does. The highway is where I was seeing most of the weirdness compared to my Hardware 4 vehicles. So we'll see if any of that pops up, at least for this drive. But so far, I mean, feels like a really good drive. Changing lanes into faster lane. Oh, okay, I see. The people, so yeah, the FSD picked up on that before me. I didn't even realize these people were going slower than us. So it is passing on the right. I know that's illegal some places, probably not on the highway, but I don't know. I don't really care about stuff like that. But yeah, so there you go. That's something, Hardware 3 detected that pretty early on, that this vehicle was moving slower than us. And you know, the other thing is, because we're on an older version here, we don't have the highway neural nets. So this is basically like version 11 stuff we're seeing on the highway here. And that's why you have the max speed at 77. I could adjust it, but then I have to count that as an intervention. So I'm just gonna let it do its thing at 77. That's pretty much the speed I like to go anyway. So yeah, that's one comparison point we can't have, is Hardware 3 still does not have the highway neural nets, which I'll tell you, they are a massive, massive improvement, especially with those speed profiles. Oh my goodness. Highway FSD 12.5.6 is just magical. So a little bit of braking here, which felt really good. Again, like late braking is something you always look for, especially with the lower megapixel cameras, or maybe the computer's not as powerful, so it picks up on stuff slower. You know, it probably doesn't work exactly that way. But yeah, I mean, again, everything so far in this drive, it kind of randomly stopped for that dirt in the road, and slowed down a little bit here and there. But other than that, it feels okay. It feels okay. Geez, I'm trying to like just let most of this highway play out because it's not really doing anything, and I don't want to spend too much time on the video. I want to let it all pass by, but I just have to comment. The braking and the accelerating are really, really good. I gotta say, I actually think the braking that this Model Y is doing right now for, you know, when traffic slows, like look, they're slowing way up here, so we're about to see it. I feel like the slowing is even better than in my Cybertruck. I think I like the slowing, like look, it's already slowing before his brake lights even came on. It's really good. Like this is perfect. The slowing is very gentle. We're keeping a nice distance. Again, we're just in the average setting, keeping a nice distance from this pickup truck in front of us. It feels really good. Cybertruck gets way up closer to stuff, and the latest Cybertruck update does make the braking better, but it still likes to get really close to things and maybe brake a little later than I would. The braking and acceleration, like somebody was in front of us and then they moved over because they weren't going as fast. So changing lanes to follow route. We don't need to do that here, but it's fine, whatever. Somebody moved away from in front of us, and immediately, like as they're in the middle of the lane change, FSD started accelerating to take up that spot. So this Hardware 3 on highway feels really good. Now this is a mistake. So we're actually not supposed to be getting off here. Let's see. Nope, I'm gonna fix it because I want us to take the same route. So that was a disengagement right there. You randomly moved into the exit lane. So that was definitely a negative that I have not experienced in a long time. And then we're changing into this lane. Oh, that's my, okay, sorry. It was going really slow. Now it's speeding up to 77. I don't know why it's in this lane. This is no good here. All right, it's fine now that we sped up, but we were in the passing lane going 66, so all good now. So like this, we should definitely be getting out of the passing lane. I have an angry pickup truck. I mean, most pickup trucks are angry all the time. But I'll change out of the passing lane there for him. Oh yeah, he's pissed. He's pissed. How dare you not go 90? And I mean, don't get me wrong, he's right. We should not be in that lane when we're not passing somebody. But yeah, that's just kind of the speed that Michigan drivers go, all good. We have to count that as another intervention. And I think that's really important. Like, get out of the friggin' passing lane when this lane is open. So we got an attempt to change into the faster lane, and somebody came up on us. and very nicely, turned the turn signal off, waited for them to complete the pass. I would say that the highway neural net handles that a little more naturally than the way that this does. Is a little more robotic, but it's fine. It works fine. And I'm sure some people are gonna be like, oh, well, you're on the old software, so you can't judge the highway, blah, blah, blah. That's the point, is that hardware 3 is behind. The software is behind. And so that's kind of the disappointing part, for people that are on hardware 3. So they still don't have these highway neural nets, which I find are much better. But when we get off the highway, I'll talk a little more about that. Wow, beautiful change out of the passing lane here. We have our exit coming up in a mile. We finally have a little clearing to move over here. There are vehicles behind us. They're not really riding our butt too much, but that was just beautiful decision making. Really good. And the other thing that FSD is really good at, did you see the distance it was keeping that whole time? The car in front of us kept hitting the brake and speeding back up and hitting its brake. FSD could just chill there and let the gap kind of expand and contract. Beautiful to see that. And I actually like the distance that this version is keeping versus the hardware 4. It stays a little closer to the cars on the highway. And if the computer is truly doing those distance calculations and everything and trajectory and speed, 1,000 times faster than my brain is doing it, then yeah, sure, it can stay a little closer and be just as safe. But I just don't fully trust that it's quite doing that. And latency is, I know one of you are emailing me about latency. That's something I'm a little skeptical about too. I don't know how to really get into it. But here we go. So we're going to exit. I don't know if you could tell from the video, but we went like this, and then the steering wheel kind of jerked over a lot harder to take the exit. So it's not that big of a deal, but I've seen that pretty much every exit on hardware 3 on this version, and hardware 4 just doesn't do that. It is such a nice, smooth, human-like exit from the highway. And again, it's older software, but that's what hardware 3 is stuck with. That's the whole point of this video. That's kind of the problem. So yeah, but overall, I would say, the drive's not done, but I would say overall, I'm still pretty impressed with performance here of hardware 3. So we changed to green. It's not moving yet. Took it a second to really pick up on that. And the Model Y next to me was checking me out, see what I'm doing over here. So yeah, but nice move into this lane because that lane ends. It feels pretty good. All right, now we're moving into this difficult left turn. I mentioned in the Cybertruck that FSD used to pretty much not be able to do this. And version 12, even on my hardware 3 Model Y, my hardware 3 Model Y was kind of able to complete this turn. Still not every time, but a lot more often than older versions. So positioning is great. We need to stop here, and then there's a lot of traffic coming from the right that's going 60 miles an hour. Or more, and we need to stop right here because there's a semi moving into this turnaround lane. This is crazy. Why is he coming in this lane? Hopefully we didn't get in his way with that inching up there. Nope, looks good. And so he needs to turn here. Look at that. Oh my goodness. So he's just gonna block us until he can continue here. Yeah, so this is kind of a crazy little intersection here. So we do have a clearing after this car. Go, you got to go fast. Oh my goodness, it did it. Wow, holy crap, I can't believe it. So it did that really, hardware 3, it did that really difficult turn that version 11 and previous couldn't really handle. So this may be the end of the video. I may just let the rest of this play out and fast forward and let you to show you that it finished the drive. But it wasn't that bad. So here's kind of my conclusions, at least for now, and this is including driving I've done outside of this video, just so you know, on the whole hardware 3 situation versus hardware 4. As of today, right now, hardware 3 is being left behind slightly. It's on an older version of version 12. It doesn't have the highway neural nets. It doesn't have the improved speed profiles that we now have on roads 50 miles per hour or more, and it's started. It's begun, right? Even in the Robotex unveil, somebody yelled about hardware 3, and Elon's like, oh, he kind of went around it. So as of today, right now, it's not that different of an experience. It is worse though. I get more jerking in the steering wheel. I get more harsh kind of decision making, more last minute movements, and more I don't know if I'd call it phantom braking, but weird little random slowdowns. I definitely noticed that in hardware 3. But the difference is, minimal. It did this drive with one intervention and one disengagement. Like, that's really not that bad compared to the Cybertruck yesterday or 2 days ago doing one intervention. What I would be concerned about, though, is going forward. The gap is going to increase over time. And who knows what's coming. Like, we're waiting for version 13. Is Hardware 3 even going to get version 13 ever? If it does, how much is it going to be delayed? Is it going to come a month later than Hardware 4? 6 months later than Hardware 4, right? So if you bought a Tesla, or you're thinking about buying a Tesla, and you want to get a used one, and you're like, oh, Hardware 3 or Hardware 4, if you are totally obsessed with FSD and you want all the latest FSD and blah, 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 do not get Hardware 3. That is my opinion. If you just want a Tesla, because I know there's those of you out there, but you want to drive yourself all the time, you don't care about the self-driving crap and blah, 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 you think it's annoying, then it doesn't affect you at all. I wouldn't worry about it. I would try to get a Ryzen processor, just so you know. But even that, like if you can get a really good deal on an older Tesla, I mean, just take the deal, man. At the end of the day, it's a car, and you'll probably swap it out in another, 5 or plus years for another car. So kind of save the most amount of money you can. So overall, my conclusion is that it is behind just barely right now, and I think that gap's going to increase over time, and it's something that Hardware 3 should be concerned about, although Tesla and Elon did say they're going to retrofit. That's like a whole video in itself, but I don't think that's something you should kind of bank on. I do think it probably would happen eventually if needed, but it would be a long, 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 long time from now, to the point where, like, what's the point? So anyway, I hope this video was at least partially informative or entertaining or helpful. If you have any questions, leave those down below. You'll see me and FSD in the next video. Oh, look at this. Hard braking for the blinking yellow. No! Another intervention. So 2 interventions and a disengagement. That was really bad. And something that Hardware 4 does not do anymore. It doesn't do it.